everybody, it's Pumpkin, and it's another chapter. Yeah, but I know I love you, and you know what we're going to find out about right now? We're going to find out about what's the new normal. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, anyway, we might have to read ahead in this book because we're loving it, absolutely loving it, and I hope you love it too. Okay, see ya. See ya at the end. Enjoy it.
New normal. The way our new normal worked was that I would load up Camre and Gavin about 6 in the morning and drive them to her parents' house. I'd go to work and they'd stay there. Then at night I'd pick them up, come home, feed Gavin, fix dinner, go to bed, and start it all over in the morning. Except that I really got more than a couple of hours of sleep at night. Gavin wasn't a great sleeper for the first couple of years. Even if Camre had gotten up with him, she wouldn't have known what to do, so I was the one who had to do it. Sometimes I'd get so desperate I'd put him and Camre into the car at 1 a.m. and drive them around the town to get him to go to sleep. Other times I'd put him in his car seat on the dryer and let the noise and shaking soothe him. I never want to sound like I'm complaining because I would do it all again in a minute, but it was still challenging for all of us. It took Camre quite a while to get comfortable staying all night because she couldn't remember having been there from one day to the next. For the first couple of years, when I'd pick her and Gavin up at her parents' house, she would ask, "Where are we going?" "We're going home." "We just left my home." "No, that was your parents' home. You live with me and Lyndon." "Oh, okay." We'd drive into our driveway and she'd ask, "Where are we?" "We're at home." "This is my home?" "Yes, this is our home." "Oh, I live here?" "Yes, you live here." Some days were a little better than others, but most of the time she was either confused or oblivious to what was going on. During that time, my major goal, besides making sure that Gavin was taken care of, was to keep Camre involved in being a mom. One of the saddest things for me was that she never had the opportunity to just be a mom, to do ordinary mom things, so I would have her be with me whenever I took care of Gavin. For instance, I must have showed her how to change a diaper 1,000 times. Sometimes when I handed her a diaper, she would just stare at it. Other times she'd put it on backward or try to slide it on. I also wanted her to have the bonding experience of feeding Gavin. I'd get the bottle heated up, sit her down in the rocking chair, put a rag on her shoulder, and bring Gavin to her. I'd have to show her every time how to put the bottle in his mouth. Then I'd show her how to hold him and burp him. I was a dad playing both mom and dad, fiancé, teacher, caregiver right out of the gate. At the time, I didn't allow myself to think too much about the future. I would just wake up in the morning and say, "Okay, Steve, you've got this. You can do it." I've said that I marked each little step of progress. One of the biggest moments came when I realized that Camre understood that she was Gavin's mom. It wasn't dramatic, but one day I noticed that she finally got it. I was so proud of her, and yet I knew that the next day she wouldn't remember how much it had meant to me. During that first year or so, Camre was both like a child and an adult at the same time. For instance, one time she said the word shit and immediately added, "Oh, don't tell my parents I said that." Yet, she retained this sarcastic streak that she always had. Once someone asked her how I was doing as a dad, and she said, with a big grin, "Oh, I guess he's doing the best he can." She always had a million questions. One day she asked me, "How do I get out of our house?" "You go out the front door over there." She rolled her eyes at me. "No, how do I leave here?" "You've got to go up the driveway." "Why? Do you want to go somewhere?" "I just wanted to know, if I go up the driveway, which way is my parents' house?" Right? I would turn right? Yeah, you'd turn right. So how do I get out of the house? She wanted to know how we'd met, where we'd met, when Gavin was born, when her birthday was. I'd tell her, and in the next moment, she'd ask the same questions all over. Gradually, very gradually, her brain began to make new connections, but that made things harder as well. She began to realize that she'd had a brain injury, but couldn't remember what that meant. We were trapped in a vicious circle of remembering that she couldn't remember, and then forgetting that she remembered. I've been asked if I got angry. My family assures me that I never got angry, but I know I got frustrated. I wasn't frustrated at first, but when you've told a person the same thing 1,000, 2,000 times, and they ask the same question over and over, it's hard not to get frustrated. I knew that being frustrated at her wasn't going to help, so I would just let it go. I'd say to myself, "It's okay, Steve. It's going to be okay. Don't dwell on it. Let it go." If I could, I'd go on the deck for a couple of minutes, play with the dogs, take some deep breaths. When I'd come back in, I'd be ready to show Camre how to change a diaper one more time. If I couldn't leave her and Gavin even for a second, I'd just remind myself that this was happening, this was real. I was committed to Camre. I wasn't going to let her live this life, our life, without me being a part of it. About a year into our new normal, when Camre began occupational therapy on a regular basis, things got easier for all of us. In occupational therapy, she learned to do things most of us take for granted, like going grocery shopping or doing the dishes. It took a long time and lots of practice, but in time, Camre has relearned many of those skills. We write everything down and keep notes all over the house, but she has come so far from those early months I sometimes can't believe it. Looking back, Camre is the same person she always was, but at the same time, she is incredibly different. As she was gradually recovering, I had to wing it a lot as well. She looked and sounded like the woman I loved, but she wasn't that woman anymore. Even though the doctors had told us in medical terms what had happened, no one really understood what it all meant. We literally had to take it one day at a time. Just when we thought that we were making some real progress, I got a call at work from her mom. Camre had had a seizure and was on her way to the hospital. From that point on, Camre started having grand mal seizures once every 2 or 3 weeks. Gradually, they increased until she was having a couple of seizures every day or every other day. They would come without warning. We might be out shopping and she'd begin to seize. We might be watching TV and she would seize. We never knew when it was going to happen. Epilepsy was a major setback and a major change in our plans. We had gotten to a place where I could let Camre and Gavin be together for a few minutes while I went to the bathroom or whatever, or I could go on the deck and watch them through the window. I did that so that both of them could have some time alone to bond with each other. But once she began to have seizures, I was constantly thinking, what if she falls on the baby? What if she hurts herself? Every worst-case scenario would race through my mind. I've said that I've always had faith that things were going to be okay, so I really had to exercise that faith when the seizures started. I knew that Camre missed her independence, so I'd make sure that Gavin was safe and go into another room, even if it was just for a minute or two. I never really could leave them, though. If I had to go to the grocery store, or even if I had to go outside to do yard work, I had to take them with me. Camre's epilepsy has been an ongoing battle that continues to this day. Just when we thought we were letting up on doctor's appointments, we started having a whole new set of doctors to see. They tried many different medications, some of which worked better than others, but none of them actually eliminated the seizures. Because of her brain injury, none of the current surgeries that can work was an option, so eventually she had a VNS implant. A VNS, or vagus nerve stimulator, is a stopwatch-sized pacemaker implanted under the skin of the chest. It's programmed to send an electronic signal to the brain in a programmed cycle, such as 30 seconds on and 5 minutes off. This signal helps to correct the electrical stimuli, which causes seizures. It can also be activated if a seizure begins by swiping a magnet over the site. While the VNS isn't a cure, it has cut the number of seizures Camre has in half or more. Instead of happening every week or more, she now can go a couple of weeks. But seizures are still a major part of our lives. I estimate that she had 300 or 400 seizures, maybe even more, in the first 6 years. Nevertheless, we both considered epilepsy just another hurdle to overcome. It was just another thing for us to get through together. We started doing regular family things like holidays and vacations. Even though Camre wasn't comfortable out in public with people she didn't know, she was able to begin to relax and even enjoy life a little bit with our close friends and relatives who understood the situation. After a couple of years of this new normal, where Gavin and Camre spent weekdays with her parents and nights and weekends at our home, I began to think about the future. Even though I had made a lifetime commitment never to leave Camre, we weren't married. It dawned on me that while her parents had always allowed me to make the decisions regarding her care, if something happened to them, the state could step in. There was no guarantee that I would be allowed to be her protector for the rest of her life. I kicked myself that I hadn't married her long before now, when things were more complicated. It was one thing to be a fiancé, but it's another to be a husband. I decided that had to change for my sake as much as for Camre.
Well done. Put your collar back on. There you go. You're fine. You're fine. Give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. Come on, treat. Give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. Jasmine, really? Give me 5. Want a treat? Give me 5. Hey, give me 5. You're so rude. Beautiful. Okay, let's go get your treat. Keep going. What are you doing? Right underneath my feet. You okay? Oh, you're gonna run from me now, huh? Are you okay? Did I hurt you? Lily? Yeah, you're fine. Jasmine, is that delicious? Alrighty then. So I hope you enjoyed that. And of course, if you don't want to wait for the next episode, because I don't know when that's going to be, there's a link to the book in the description of the video. You can buy that and show your narrator and the author a little love, a little kickback, a little cha-ching. Okay, anyway. Don't know what's coming next. It's going to be some sort of something or other. I don't know. We'll see.